how to get 0% interest for 6 to 18 months, and how to get a business loan underneath 10% in interest rates, as well as get longer terms, maximum amount of funding. We're going to be getting into startup funding, non-startup funding, newly established businesses, and so much more in this video. But before I get started, my name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm an expert business loan broker who's been very grateful and humble to have helped a lot of people get business funding of all backgrounds and industries. And in today's market, it is specifically more difficult in certain industries than it is with others to get, I'd say, maximum funding, let alone the right rates and the right terms, etc., because the lenders are holding back much more with supply chain issues, a lot of like construction business owners not able to get the right type of supplies, the right types of bids, contracts, retail. There's a lot of reasons behind that. Restaurants, medical. I've worked with just about every industry multiple times, and I know all of the issues that do arise, just so you don't have any question of that. And I've been doing this again for quite some time. Now, before I get going into how to get 0% interest for 6 to 18 months for a startup, a newly established business, or you're not a startup, but you're looking for that lowest interest rate, as well as how to get less than 10%, perhaps somewhere around that bubble, and how to set your expectations correctly. Give me a hashtag live, please, in the comments if you're joining me and you're watching right this second, or if you're here later on the replay, please give me a hashtag replay. If you've been here before, you're probably questioning what's behind me. Why am I sitting on this race car looking gaming chair? I'm taking care of my younger brother's house. He has a dog that I'm sitting for. He's a corgi. You've probably seen him before. His name is Chip. It's actually a picture of him right here. And so I'm right here in their office room. And this is where things will be happening up until Friday. If you see me again come live where I release a new video and you're questioning why the background looks a bit different, why is this guy sitting on this chair? Maybe it's a little messy back there, but you can't see it all. My brother's got some cleaning up to do. And I normally don't shoot them from here. You'll see me in a different chair. This isn't my kind of chair. I like the other one. It makes me sit upright a little bit more than the other one, but it's not as professional for me, and I like the other one. And there's a lot of more things happening here. Now, one thing I do want to make mention of before I show you how to get 0% interest, and I've gone through this in the past, so you perhaps will see something similar to it, but then I'll expand on it. Probably give you some additional fees, anything possible in that regard. In the comments, I see one person right now spamming by the name of Moye Shack on Instagram. They're saying hello. I'm not sure if they are legitimate. Usually they are not with a name like that. But you can tell me if you are or not. There's usually a lot of times when I see a username like that, it points out to somebody who could be a spammer. I'm not saying you are until you validate it. But a lot of the times you'll see people with an Instagram or Telegram, and it looks very familiar. So be very careful, you guys. If you guys come to the comment section after this video is posted, I am not affiliated or associated with any of those individuals who do want to spam and then try to reach out to you. Be very careful. It's common sense. Like, I don't have to tell people, hey, don't reach out to that person. I was going to pay an application fee. Well, maybe you didn't know better, and I understand that. But if you're being asked to pay for an application fee, run. For the majority of things, you got to run away from that, especially with business funding. So with that being said, how do you get 0% interest for 6 to 18 months is the question. I'm going to show you the process. I'm going to get into the share screen here in just a second. But most people, they want to get maximum amount of funding. You have to understand where this is coming from. You're probably looking, as a startup, you're usually looking for somewhere between 20 to about 200,000 to start with. So you're saying I need 200,000. You're going to work backwards. You're saying I might not get the 200K, or maybe you're not even thinking that. So where do you begin? What would be enough for you to start with is my question. A lot of you guys would say, hey, I just needed 20,000. I just needed 10,000 to start with. I know I need an additional amount. Okay, great. We can work from the start point and then work our way up. However, you still have to have the right details. You still have to have the right revenue, the FICO credit score, the time in business, if it's industry specific, the bank statements that you're going to have to supply when you're going through revenue-based funding, which this isn't that. If you're getting 0% interest for 6 to 18 months, this is different. You won't have to supply bank statements. It's very little to no documentation. It's a great program to get started with that I did a long time ago after I went through all my battles, not even understanding what that was until I got to that point. So for many of you who are like, well, I'm just getting started with a business, Michael, I have a trucking, construction, retail, whatever it is, you're in the real estate space, which is great for using bridge money. You have to weigh the options. And I'm going to show you this 0%, but I'm also going to show you what is a personal loan, what is a startup loan. And I have other videos on this for startup funding that I'll link you to down below, as well as a free 6-step pre-qualification checklist with a questionnaire you can pick up that I put together that a lot of people are filling out. And if you have already, I'll get back to you soon. I've been quite flooded. I know it's only Monday, but I'll get back to you. Now, before I say any more, let me jump into the share screen and show you what this program exactly entails, how you can get in with very little to no documentation, start with 0%, literally 0% interest, get up to about 150,000 or even more if we're going into like corporate type of funding. So 1 second. We're going to follow this document that may look a bit familiar, but I'm also going to expand on a few things. How do you get 0% interest for 6 to 18 months and up to $150,000 plus without any or very little documentation needed? And honestly, no documentation. This is the credit line hybrid program option. I go here. How would you like to get up to 150,000 in unsecured no doc credit cards for your business, even when the banks say no to you? The credit line hybrid, it's designed to help you get funding strictly based on your personal credit quality. And when people ask me how much or what do I need to have, you need a 680 and above in consumer credit on all 3 credit bureaus. Our lenders will not, and I put this in red here, ask for your financials, bank statements, as I just said a second ago, right? You don't need to supply 3 months, 3 to 6 plus months. You're in agriculture. You need 12 months to supply. You're very seasonal. You're having a lot of issues. You're not sure about the funding. And I'll show you a bunch of different ways you can combine this with others so you're not left to question, how can I maximize my funding? Bank statements, business plans, resumes, or any other burdensome documentation request that most conventional lenders will demand. And I know this because I deal with this every single day. Here's the best part. You can get approval with introductory rates as low as 0% interest for 6 to 18 months, getting this best program in best terms in the country. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with like business credit cards and how they work, I won't get into it specifically, but they help you build your business credit at the end of the day. So this is going to be a combination of business credit cards and then also building your business credit at the same time, increasing your paydex score, increasing your chances of getting approvals for things like the SBA loan. But you don't need the credit line hybrid to get approved for that. That's a whole different program where business credit needs to be established, how much of it is established, your financials. Then we determine your risk profile on a FICO SPSS score and a few other things. So if you're wondering about how do I get an SBA loan, what's the 7A 504 program, how does that all work, Michael? Down below in the description, I've already created content for you, unlike no other on this platform. So if you guys want to learn more about the SBA 7A, as well as everything else included, what could be the alternatives to that? What could be multiple scenarios you could look at? Because listen, people will open my emails. They don't even click and watch a video. They don't even click and read the blog post. And you're asking me question after question. We only have so much energy and time in a day. I just made this point across to a group of people that I spoke with. We only have so much energy and time in the day. I know we may be meeting here for the first, second, or however many times on the internet, and you may have a hard time trying to trust me if this is your first time. But for those of you who keep coming back, showing and demonstrating whether you can get funding now or not, we have that personal relationship. I know you, your family, however much you decide you open up to, that's your part. I'm an introvert, but I do care about you as a human being first. Your business comes second. Although to you, what's in the best interest for me and my business, I get that. We're going to get to that. But I care about you. I'm not going to fluff you up. I'm not going to say more than I have to say. I'm a very considerate person, but don't take my kindness as a weakness. When you get my attention, just know you're getting the best. And if you can't handle that, if you're an individual who's not, one, open-minded, and two, is not going to allow feedback when it's asked for, I'm not going to harass, I'm not going to pressure you. You decide what you ultimately want to do. If somebody else is more serious, but I'm seeing that you are over here, I'm not being responsive, da 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 da, guess what's going to happen? Yeah, you're going to get pushed back, or you won't even be brought up again. And the reason being is because you're not being punctual. I'm being so punctual with you, and you're asking if you can trust me. I'm asking if I can even trust you. You have to have such a high standard that I'm even asking, can I even trust you? You're asking that of me. Think about that for a second. Now, let me come back into this document. Here are the benefits. You get a 24-hour pre-approval, 0% interest for 6 to 18 months, truly. Business credit can also be, and sometimes it can go 6 to 24 months. And for those of you who have already established business credit and you understand this program, let me know in the comment section, how is this program going along for you? I check up from time to time when I can. I've done it myself. So let me know in the comment section, has it helped you get access to more funding in a limited amount of time? You're getting approved for other services because you're building a lot. And you see this kind of more or less when you see those like credit cards. I'm not going to say it's going to be like a Wells Fargo one. I'm just saying this is an example. And even a Chase one with Chase, that you see those 0% APR, 0% introductory rate for 6 to 18 months. But those aren't the only ones. There's a lot more of them out there. It just has to be best suited for you, and how you're going to be applying them for making multiple and different purchases is the number one important thing, because that's what's going to help you build up your credit profile and the amount of limits you get. So business credit can also be used to help you qualify, which is not necessarily needed, but what it does, like I said in the last time I made a video similar to this, your approvals. Like, we look into your business credit and we understand, is it healthy? No. What are you missing? What haven't you done? And we can make a decision based around that. And a little bit more flexibility. You can use the funds to do what you need to go to do for your business. Even startup businesses can qualify. This is the magic piece. I have a lot of startup business owners who I speak to. A lot of them want me to get on a phone call with them, but it doesn't always make sense. So if you're that individual who's like, how can I get on a call with you, Michael? Well, there's a process to this. I want to be able to vet people in, because I get a lot of submissions every single day. And don't think this is like a 10-man show. It's me working primarily. Yeah, I could have outsourced this and got a VA, a couple of them, and had somebody do this for me. And maybe in time that will happen. You know, my mom, I've done so much, and I see the way that they've sacrificed. And with my other businesses, I've been able to help, but this one will do a lot. And I see how hard my parents have had to work. My younger brother, his family, and I know, like, we all fight every single day for our family. We always fight more for what we can do and provide, and we always want to make sure we're looking out for everyone's best interest at heart. So maybe in time that'll be something I go down the road on, but everything is good. Everything is healthy. It's just a lot of people always want to get in contact with me. Just know that there's a process. There's going to be a questionnaire form down below. If you haven't submitted it, please do so. I'll even show you this option and other ones, whether you can qualify for them or not. And I'll go in through some scenarios that have happened lately. True no doc financing program. Look at that. Caps lock, no doc. A lot of you guys are still sitting on this and not understanding. Like, I have content out there on what are the best startup funding options, non-startup funding options, and I'll link you to them again down below in the description. But if you're a startup business owner, even if you're not, and you're a real estate investor, if you haven't jumped on top of a program like this, you are, I don't know what you're still asking me questions about. Like, you don't understand my situation. Yeah, I'm going to listen to you, but at the end of the day, if you don't even take action, you say something, but you do a completely different thing. Like, I have business owners right now. I'll submit to you the documentation, Michael. Weeks pass. Come on. Application to funding in 3 weeks or less. No upfront application fee. Credit approvals are up to $150,000 per individual. So think about that. Per individual. How many owners are there in your business? See how that starts to open up your mind a bit? And you can get this as a guarantor as well. So if you don't have spectacular good credit, then you can have somebody else help you with this. That's a no-brainer unless they don't trust you with their finances and you're going to make them crash their credit and everything else, especially the relationship if it's a family member and a friend. I mean, think about that. You have to still be responsible. So again, like I said, no upfront application fee. You don't have to worry about that. Credit approvals are up to 150,000 per individual, as mentioned. No collateral, and they can go even higher with like corporate and a bit more. So you're getting more access. No collateral requirements. Ability to use credit partners to qualify if needed, as I said with the credit guarantor. No cash flow requirements. Like I said earlier, you don't have to even supply bank statements, tax returns. We're not going to validate personal income, business income, year-to-date financials. Probably, are you at a profit? What's your net operational income? So if you're that individual who's in a situation where you're like, I won't get, look, if you're that individual right now who's, I should have left this a little bit later, who's like, I'm only going to get 20,000, but I needed 60,000. I'm going to give you another option. It also depends on your credit. So it may be a combination of installment loans through a personal loan. Maybe it's a line of credit behind that, the term loan, or you can add the credit line hybrid on top of that. So now you're doing the credit line hybrid and you're going through the personal loan option. So you're combining the two. Or perhaps it's a combination of all the credit line hybrid, the personal loan on top of a merchant cash advance or similar. So you can maximize funding and build the relationship correctly. So you have to think about, how can I combine a couple of services if I have to? Because the credit line hybrid is not going to happen for you in about a month. More in about 2 to 3 or so months, we're going to start getting higher access. So what are you doing in that meantime? If you couldn't get approved for this program, I'm improving my credit. I have a guy right now who's going to be increasing points by about 20 to 30. No brainer. You're going to come back, inventory financing, boom, get approved. If so, boom. But a lot of you guys are like, I don't like those rates. I don't like those terms. Well, it's your credit. It's part of it. It's revenue, time in business, but your credit stinks. And you're wondering why you're not getting as much funding as you want. Well, pick up your revenue, and then we'll have another conversation. Well, I don't have business credit established. Well, I'm sorry, but an SBA loan, they're going to look at business credit established and however much you have. So let me come back into this document. Can help you build or improve your business credit score. So that's the amazing part about this. So those of you who are already working on business credit, Amex, Chase, there's a whole bunch of different business credit cards out there. But if you're that individual, keep it up. You may not want to take more onto your credit, and I spoke to plenty of you recently, so you guys are looking for alternative options, and I get that. You may be looking for a way of refinancing, consolidating debt, paying off these credit card limits or the amount that you have accumulated in debt, and so forth. Many don't report to personal credit, but some will. That's why you have to understand how these programs work. You have to understand what you bring to the table. If you're asking for no personal guarantee as well, you might as well not even get started. A lot of you guys haven't even built enough of a profile to have that flexibility to say, I don't want a personal guarantee. Well, fix your credit. No more has to be said. What are you hiding? Fix it. Do you have legal issues, bankruptcies, foreclosures, liens? And I'm going to go into some examples. I have them open in another tab. I can't show you it because it's a bit sensitive information. But let me come over here to, let me see if I can find that. Yeah, there it is. I'll have an example here. So credit score capabilities, you're not there maybe. You have open collections. You have history of late payments. You have high revolving usage. New trade lines just established. That's not old enough to us to give you a better opinion and a better option. Excessive inquiries. And those are just touching up on a few of the many things that can happen. And I see these people coming through all the time, knowing that it won't happen, yet you still go and do it anyways. So what are you doing? You're not fixing the actual problem. You're just going after the symptoms. 680 qualification plus credit score on with all three consumer credit bureaus. So that's the expectation. Obviously, the better you have, the better access you're going to get. Credit card, 3 years old with a $5,000 plus limit. It must be a primary card. So that's another qualification. Minimum of 2 open revolving accounts within a year and a half of good payments history. Under 40% utilization on all revolving accounts. No more than 5 unsecured accounts open in the past 12 months. No more than 4 to 6 inquiries per bureau in the last 6 months, preferably less. So that's where I lose the majority of people. This is the one, the inquiries. Everything else is a factor, high factor, but the inquiries has to be like the biggest one. No bankruptcies within the past 7 years. And just so you guys know, I passed all of this. How I've been through it, like I said in the beginning, but I keep my credit clean. I get it, as a business owner, you're taking on a lot. You're putting on a lot in your credit, but you're not necessarily assessing it correctly. You're not having enough cash flow to service the debt, making the payments on time. You have to be very careful of this. No bankruptcies in the last 7 years. No open, in other words, unpaid collections, liens, or judgments. That's another one that gets people. How does it work in 4 simple steps? You get to complete a form for a one-on-one consultation. You can speak to myself, but it can also be a representative. And I always follow up with you, and I'm there along the process to see what's happening. Step 2, you get to submit your application. It's a soft pull on your credit. Although you may think, well, that's another inquiry, but it's a soft pull. What is the advantage of you going through a funding program like this? You're worrying about another inquiry. Step 3, get pre-qualified, in as little as 24 hours. So it's much faster than a lot of other options. Step 4, you get to meet directly with the credit line hybrid advisors. You get to collaborate with myself and get access to your credit lines. If you are not approved, you will find out why, and as well as what you can do to improve. And that's the majority of it. I have a little bit more that I might want to get into right here, and then I'll transfer over to the different document. 1 second. Let me locate it. So one thing that I want to elaborate on that I have on this other document, one moment. Let me move this around. Then I'll get away from this tab. The program, as I mentioned before, it does require a personal guarantee from you or your credit partner. As I said, credit partners, the guarantor. If you use one, that's the case. So if you're going to use someone, then understand the parameters, communicate with them directly. No authorized user accounts for qualification, in case you had that question in mind. So let me see. I have a few more things on this document. So when people ask me how much does it cost, it's a one-time success fee of 9.9%. Well, you could say about 9.99, closer to 10%. It is due after you have received access to your credit lines. If you do not get approved, you don't pay. Best of all, you can use your new 0% credit lines to pay the success fee. It's a win-win. A lot of people take advantage of it because of that. Just that one bit alone, a huge attraction piece. So I'll leave more information of this program down below in the description. Make sure to check the credit line hybrid program out. If you do need help fixing, repairing, improving your credit, a lot of people are doing that right now through me. I have a guy that I outsource my work to. I used to do a bit of this myself, but I'm very busy on the business funding side of the equation, but I trust him. I communicate with him all the time. He sent me a text message actually on Saturday or Sunday, a couple of times. We had a great conversation personally and in business. But he does an amazing job. He's actually helping out quite a few people right now that I've sent to him. He has helped more as well. But let me locate this other document here so I can see. You guys can't see this email because it is sensitive. Let me see if I have it opened over here. Yeah, let me do this. So I'm looking at an email on a different tab of mine, and maybe I'll go back and do another tab in a moment. This is loading though. And again, all information will be down below. I'll talk a little bit about the personal loan, the startup loan, but everything you guys want to know about will be down below, as well as grant opportunities. If you don't need startup funding, I can still help you. That's what I also focus on 110%. I do the two. And I have a lot of business owners who are amazing. I've gotten time to know you and what it is you're trying to accomplish. So I'll always be there with you every step of the way. Let me refresh this page. For some reason, whenever I go live, the other tabs don't open. So we'll just let that go and speak a little bit about the personal loan while that comes back, if so. So I have a lot of business owners right now who are not quite sure about how to get a business loan, but they've heard of personal loans. You can use a personal loan with the right lender for business. Now, what those details entail, still you have to have strong enough credit. We're looking at 680 and above, usually 700. At least 5 trade lines built underneath. But the interest is a lot less, like 6 to 18 or so percent. And you're looking at terms of 1 to 5 or so years. So it's a little bit of a pushed out program, but everything is going to be underneath personal instead of in your business. But again, if you don't have business credit established, and if even if you do, if that's not a concern, which isn't always a bad thing, just depends on what you're doing, then that can be a very helpful program to associate with. Let me see if I can open up this window. Okay. Now it's loading. Okay. So I was just looking at a current client who's getting their credit repaired. I have quite a few, but we're seeing points from like 20 to 40, 20 to 50 if you do things correctly. And that's within weeks of taking an additional amount of steps. So it makes a major difference, especially if you're somebody sitting in the 500s, low or high, and you want to get it above 600, 620, 650. It makes a huge difference to repair your credit. Now, if you know what you need to do because of your habits and how you're spending, and you think you can do it yourself and you know it'll increase because of something else, that's okay too. But if you have anything that you would like to dispute, any late payments, anything that's derogatory, anything showing up that it shouldn't be, then that's something that I can help with for sure. Now, on the personal loan side of the equation, like I said, you can get a personal loan for business. We have to see 50,000 in annual revenue, and that can come in the form of tax returns, pay stubs, etc. At least 5 trade lines built, usually a 680, if not usually a 700 and above, plus FICO, 700 plus credit score. And so if you have those parameters, then time in business necessarily isn't something we look at, but the trade lines are. And there's a little bit more to that. Let me see if I can open up my other documents here. Okay. Here it is. Like I have individuals right now who are like getting a business acquisition loan, and this is just one example, and they're looking for an additional amount of funding for business operational, for some growth and expansion. They may not get the amount that they need because they're putting underneath their business and they're not having high enough revenue per month. So they can't justify getting more than what they can actually get. But there are a couple situations to look around that. You can add a merchant cash advance lender or a hybrid cash advance lender on top of perhaps a personal loan or just a personal loan or just the MCA option on its own. And it's going to pay for itself, especially with that business acquisition you're going to get. If you can pay off the debt with your existing business, then it makes sense. Your cash flow is good enough. Your repayments look well. You might be doubling, tripling, quadrupling that what you take. Think about those reasons. So some requirements for like a personal loan, and there's more content out on this. I'll try to link you to down below. So 50K plus in annual revenue, 0 time in business, but it requires you to have at least 5 trade lines built, 20,000 to 500,000 in approval amounts, 700 plus in experience score, 6% to 18% cost of capital. So that's relatively low when you consider, well, there's cash advance out there from like 15 or usually 19 to about 40, 19 to 50, 19 to 70%. But you have to weigh the pros and the cons of a personal loan versus the merchant cash advance, the term loan, etc. And you have to ask yourself, it necessarily isn't about getting the best interest rates, although we want that. It's about getting probably more funding, probably getting different terms without having to be into debt for so much longer. Or it might be higher amount that you have to pay, but you'll get out of it much faster. And you can have more flexibility that way, opens up more options through those doors. Reports differently if there's a business credit side of this, and a lot more. It's 24 hours, 1 to 2 weeks, time to approve and fund. Note this, though, that the origination fee, it is 15%. You're asking, why is it so high? I've seen this in the RC programs and so forth, which I know it sounds that way, but that's how the lenders compensate themselves by offering you a low interest of 6 to 18% with monthly payment terms from 1 to 5 years. That's exceptional. So be it if it's a 15% interest or a 50% origination fee. I know you see less than 15% origination fees with like cash advances. You probably see it somewhere between 0 to 5, usually 2 to 5% or so. But the difference is you're getting monthly payments from 1 to 5 years. If that's what you want, then that may be more of an attractive solution. But do you have the credit profile? Do you have the trade lines built? And will you actually get the most amount of funding is another question, and have the right flexibility. So it may be in your best interest to mix the two. Like I have business owners who you may want 80, 90,000. So I go, hey, a cash advance product probably only gets you, if you're doing about 20,000, probably gets you about 30, depending on everything you're doing, maybe 30 to 50, or from anywhere from 15 to about 40,000. So if you started off with 30,000 to begin with, but you needed 50,000, then does it make sense for you to use it and then come back and get more funds in about 3 or so months whenever you paid off 50% of it, whenever you need add-on funds? Or do you need it now where you go, I can take this 30,000 and then go get a personal loan on top of it? That's the next situation. Or I have credit cards I can use to help me get through. You have to consider this and say, if I can get a personal loan, if I'm doing somewhere in verifiable income of about 90,000, I can get between 40 to 120,000. That may be more than enough. And installment loans, etc. There are a few situations that have to be met to qualify for them. And I can go into that subject deeper, but I'm going to leave it at that. So that's one way to get interest rates that can compensate you for doing less than 10%. So on that subject of how to get a business loan with less than 10%, a lot of you guys have heard of the SBA loan program, where you can get intro, well, I want to say prime rates plus 2.75% in today's market. That number could be going up a bit. So 5.5 plus 2.75%. So you're looking at above 7%, 7 to 9, 7 to 10% plus, especially a little bit more when it's variable interest, which is what's the case now in today's market. So like every 90 days, there's a look at this, and there's a determination based off the market. And if there needs to be an adjustment, the lender will do so, and we can meet on this. And that's where you can get those lower interest rates that business owners want. I want a 7 to 9% interest. But the question of it is, do you meet the qualification, the revenue, time in business, business credit, FICO, profitability, etc.? And I'm not going to get too specific on that because I left content for you down below on the SBA 7A program and more. But just understand, if you're going to get less than 10%, usually it's the SBA loan. Equipment financing, SBA loans, perhaps a personal loan / startup loan goes underneath the same category. So personal / startup loan can be somewhat similar. Bank rates, you can go to your bank. If you qualify, online bank, we might be able to get you between 7 to 12%. Sometimes it's 6 to 30%. Depends on the situation. Even with collateral, you're probably not looking at sometimes less than 10%, but maybe 10 to 15 or so percent. And there are a bit more options out there that are available. not a cash advance usually, a term loan, yes, you can get underneath 10%, and I'll tell you how that's the case. If you get approved for an SBA loan, in the meantime, we can get you bridge funding for like an unsecured term loan, a cash advance, or a line of credit. Let's say we approved you for an SBA loan. You're going to get the funding of $1 million or however much it is. In the meantime, you took an unsecured term loan of about 12% interest for 12 months at 1% interest per month, because it's usually 1 to 3% unsecured. Well, in 3 months, how much are you paying off? 3%. So how do you get below 12%? That's another way. You get approved for an SBA loan, then we can consolidate that term loan or the line of credit, cash advance, etc., and put it underneath 1. See how this is all coming together? Excuse me. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts in mind. I can go into this a lot deeper. We're at the 35-minute mark, and I wanted to keep it underneath an hour. But this is a spontaneous live, so if you weren't able to make it, I can understand that. You're busy. It's a Monday. And if you're watching this later, appreciate you as well. Thank you for being here. And like always, if you found value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with others who you feel will get value out of it. It can be a complete stranger, a friend, or a family member. If you haven't subscribed, I would greatly appreciate you if you did so. And click the bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I come out with. And one last thing again, I know I want to reiterate this. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please voice them for me down below in the comments. Be careful of those spammers who are sending messages. If those are them, be very careful. And for all information, the credit line hybrid, how to get less than 10%, perhaps an SBA loan, bank rate loan, etc., as well as all other videos that I've already come out with, startup funding, non-startup funding, please refer to the description. I have to get back to doing some more work. It's 12:26 here, Pacific Standard Time in Washington, and I'm going to leave you guys with that. Talk to you all soon.